My name's Jerry Barnett. I'm the founder of Sex and Censorship, which is a campaign for sexual freedom. In the past, I've run porn sites. I was a technologist for 20 years or so. And it was through that I became aware of just how deep the pro-censorship agenda is and really how dangerous the threat to free speech is. It's very hard to quantify how important free speech is because you never know how it affects society. Free speech covers all speech, so it covers good and bad things. But undoubtedly the free speech brought to us by the internet has improved society immeasurably in many ways.
I think that when we talk about the dangers of censoring pornography, we also need to be having a conversation about the way in which the existence of pornography censors women and girls and the way that we are able to be free, actually, and move around freely and feel that we are more than sex objects. We know that from talking to young people, what they say is that young men expect young women to be sex objects, and young women expect to be treated like sex objects because of the way in which pornography influences their attitudes and values and expectations.
It's often overstated how harmful porn is generally to young people. The kind of harms that are looked for when we're looking at the effect that porn has on young people are often quite moralistic. There's a total lack of evidence, there's a lack of nuance, and also there's a kind of an assumption that it's only young people that look at porn. The most popular porn sites are some of the most popular websites in the world. Like, the two most popular porn websites are more popular than the BBC News homepage. So it's not just young people looking at porn, and people kind of conveniently forget this and they think that it's all, there's the kind of, will somebody think of the children argument about this.
There's often charges about moral panics being made at feminist critiques of pornography, and it's as if mutuality and feeling good together and loving sex has become a moral issue. And actually, if you're talking about cases that you've read where there's men, I would guess, saying that they prefer to watch pornography to having sex with a partner, I think the question that we need to be asking is that because you don't have to think about anyone else but you?
The thing is that there are quite valid concerns, but overstating the argument around the harms that porn causes isn't really helping anyone, because it makes young people look really stupid, and young people switch off to the argument because the argument is always ever porn is bad or porn is good, and actually the argument should be porn isn't the best way to learn about sex. So it might be interesting, it might be something that you're into, it might be something you're not into, but you need to know this and this and this in order for it not to be your sole sex education.
We talk about sexualised popular culture as a conducive context for violence, because if you're constantly surrounded by messages that tell you that women are always sexually available and that the way to be a man is to be sexually successful and to have lots of sex with women and women to want to have sex with you, then that doesn't cause anyone to be violent, but it creates a situation in which violence becomes more possible.
Same argument's been made about video nasties and video games. Basically, there's an assumption that if a young person sees something, they will want to do it. The kind of monkey see, monkey do type argument. I worked with a group of year 10s recently, and I asked them to put up their hand if any of them had played Grand Theft Auto. Nearly every hand went up. I said, have any of you seen anyone in a car mount the pavement and deliberately run people over? And they go, well, no. So they can see that there's a difference between reality and fantasy.
The stats speak for themselves. There's been a decline in violence across the Western world in the past 20 to 30 years, and undoubtedly a part of that is due to the increased freedom of speech and the freedom of information that the internet has brought. I think we have a fairly ideal internet. I feel we risk losing that.
Well, the conversation that we need to have with young people is about sex, generally. In all the projects that we've done around young people and sex, they've talked to us about the fact that sex education at school doesn't give them what they want. So increasingly what they say to us is that they look to pornography for information.
The lack of sex education in this country has always been a real problem. The UK has always been behind the rest of Europe in educating children properly about sex. I have two children. I have a grown-up son who grew up with the internet, and I have a young baby, and the way that you protect children from the world, including information on the internet, is to make sure that they're educated and that when they encounter things online and offline, they know how to deal with them.
Teachers need to have specialist knowledge, specialist skills to be able to teach this. We wouldn't accept that about any other subject, school subject, that it's a teacher that is perhaps a little bit unsure or might have their own uncertainties or confusions. So it's really important that teachers are trained and comfortable with talking about sex.